Hello everybody, welcome back to sprueVerse, my scale model universe. People of Earth, welcome to part 7 of Build the 1650 Enterprise D. This is quite a good update, I think, because there's an awful lot going on. My metal stand, all steel stand, should be here, and we'll be showing that off in this update. We're going to talk a little bit about lighting. I've got to, I'm starting to get into the final stretch here on getting all the lighting into the kit. So we've got 4 of these approximately, well, they're basically 6-inch strips of SMD white, and you get 4 of these, and these are for the bottom of your star drive. So here is the bottom of the star drive. So what I'm going to do is there's a steel plate that sits on this, and then the model sits on that and gets bolted on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my SMD strip to the bottom of that steel plate. So in order to do that, though, I have to get a very thin piece of plastic card so that I don't risk shorting anything, because I don't want, obviously, any of my wiring attached to metal. And the same is going to be true for the neck. I'm actually going to attach my SMD tape to the steel frame, to the neck, and that should give me plenty of light in the neck. So that will ultimately be the last of all of the lighting for the kit, and that's a good thing, because then I can start thinking about the next big step here, which is to build up the nacelle lights, get them sealed in, tape them off, so that I can putty up my wires that are coming out of my nacelles that are going into the routed out notches in the pylons. And so then once all that wiring is in and that harness is working correctly, I can go ahead and get the that trench, as it were, puttied in, and that will take care of it. And then it's a function of starting to think about the next steps, because it's tricky. You want to be able to double and triple test all of this before you seal it up, but you can't really progress with the build until you've sealed some things up. Now, the saucer I'm going to leave as one element and work on that, because obviously the Aztecing is going to be a big deal. And then on top of that, you've got the phaser array that has to be adhered to that, and there are some smaller elements that have to be put on that, and then we can go up, we're off to the races there in terms of painting. And but and then the star drive element I will marry to the pylons and the nacelles and make that one element, but I can't do that until I've started to really dive into the Aztecing, because as 3 elements, or it'll ultimately be 2 elements, I suppose, it's a lot easier for me to work on. What I'm concentrating on right now is my deflector dish. So what I've done is I've taped this one off. I've given it a coat of matte black, and then I'm going to hit it with my Vallejo model color. I'm using the 70915, which is a deep yellow, and by putting that over this black matte base coat, I should get a relatively decent looking sort of mustard color that we're looking for. And then, of course, my deflector dish itself has been masked up, thanks to Lou Del Meso over at Aztec Dummy, who has supplied me with masks so that I could go ahead and get the deflector dish masked off, because you really don't want to try and do that on your own. And so I can, I've hit that with some copper. It's all masked off. We'll remove the masks in just a minute and take a look at that. And then we'll install our 3 5mm blue LEDs, and we'll attach our deflector dish, and that should be good to go. And if I've done this correctly, we'll get a lovely bleed around the outside that washes onto the cone of the deflector dish, and then we'll get that really strong sort of circular-ish band of light in the center of the deflector dish, which sort of looks like that. And that's what we're attempting to do. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit this with the yellow. We'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll do an install of the deflector dish and light that up and see what we get. Okay, I revised my color scheme for the deflector dish sort of cone. I did start with that deep yellow, but it was too yellow. It needed to be a lot more orange, and so when I rechecked my my reference photos, I had to think about that for a second. I think I'm a lot closer now. So what we've got now is this. So I'm going to let that dry, and I'm very happy with that, and that feels like that is working. And you know, it's interesting because these color schemes are very much 80s. So anyway, I'm going to let that dry now, but I think I've got that working quite well. And then a little later on, I'll sort of get into a discussion about my control panel, which is here. Just could not be happier with my control panel, and everything is touch screen, and so that's working perfectly. I'll talk a little bit about what I've done here just to create a little bit of light, and I've got to pick up from Taylor over at Avalon Metal Works the armature that connects to this, which will connect to my post on my stand, and it'll sit sort of like that. And that's how we'll control this puppy. So very excited about that. Spent a lot of time trying to get that right, and also the scale of it right, because I didn't want some giant thing. I mean, yes, it would be nice in the fantasy world to sort of, you know, have your own have your own bridge from D, but that doesn't work for me in terms of my own real estate issues over here at sprueVerse. So anyway, very good progress. I'm going to get the deflector dish over here now, which should be it should be ready to go. In fact, why don't I do that right now? Let me grab that. So here it is, and what I've done is I have. Oh, that's interesting. It came right off. Well, for obvious reasons, it was tacked onto some blue tape. But anyway, that came out perfectly. So that's removed. And let's remove the one from the rear here. We can do that. Let's see here. We'll do that here. Let's remove this one. Big shout out to Lou for his masks. Can't do it without Lou's masks. Okay, there you go. Look how perfect that is. Holy moly. Look at that. Look at that. And shine a light behind that. And bingo, presto. Look at that. And that's obviously all going to be blue. And that is going to sit nicely in here. And that is a result. So now what I have to do is I've got to get my stanchion here glued to the back. Let this dry thoroughly. We'll probably let this dry overnight, I suspect. And then we shall be able to install this. And that will take care of the deflector dish. Albeit it'll get a final clear coat at the end, and there may be some touches up to do when I get my masking tape off, but could not be happier that my deflector dish is sorted. And I'm hoping we can fire it up for you, and we'll take a look and see if I get a nice even result. I should with the 3 5mm LEDs. With the single one in the middle, you were just going to get too much concentrated light in one part. It needed to really be smooth. And I think that's what we've got here. So let's take a look at that when this is dry. Okay, so I've made some leaps and bounds, but I wanted to memorialize a couple of things, and I apologize they're physically not on the bench, but I'll be able to explain. So my stand is here. It is looking absolutely awesome. I'm in the process of actually attaching my frame to my saucer, and that will allow me to essentially have it held up by the base. So the stand itself, the post, goes up to the plate that was provided by Helios. I've welded an armature to that for the neck. That goes up through the star drive and it extends out across the saucer. And then I have a X crossbar with a coupling and a little set screw that allowed me to slide that up and down inside the saucer to make sure I got it exactly where I needed it, and then I've epoxied that in. So that is drying. So we'll take a look at that on the bench drying in just a second. But I wanted to give you show you the result of my deflector dish effect. That is installed and all ready to go. But because it's part of the star drive and it's actually on the stand, I can't physically show it to you here. But besides which, I think it's actually better to take a look at a photo of it anyway, because you just get a better idea. So here we go. Now, do not pay attention to the, I would call it the artifact of the blue, because that's just the camera, the angle, and it's not set in its, you know, it's not dark behind it, and on and on and on and on. So now that I've made all my excuses, there we go. That's what it looks like. Now I do have another view of this. Let me see if I can find my other view. Yeah. Now I wonder if I can get this the right way up for you, because this is a little annoying. Here we go. Let me rotate this while we are live and in camera. There we go. So here's the other view of this, and I'm really happy with it. I'm getting this lovely bleed out from the sides as it's supposed to. The center of the deflector dish is offset so that I am able to get that bleed. So I think that worked out really well. Super happy with that. Okay, now let's take a look at the crossbar. It's drying. It's sitting in its epoxy, and it's setting up now. So let's take a look at that. Here we go. There's the armature I was showing you or discussing with you. The crossbar is on. The set screw is not locked in yet, but you can see how this perfectly is going to hold up the saucer. So once I've let this epoxy set up, we're going to do one more. I think we'll probably do one more coat of epoxy on everything just to make super sure. I used 5-minute epoxy, but you can see how sturdy this is going to be. And I think a lot sturdier than just a resin post, because I have this fear over time that would that would fail. Now, interestingly enough, take a look at the star drive. There's a tab. Do you see it in the center of the neck right there, where it sticks out over the armature? Well, I'm going to remove that tab because it doesn't look like that or exist like that on the actual filming miniature. So we're going to trim that off, that tab, and we will reset that appropriately. But I couldn't be happier. And then, of course, obviously, I've got my control panel here in my hands. And the thing about the control panel is that I'm able to remove this lid. And let me do that for you carefully. and you'll see inside that everything is attached appropriately, and I'm now going to be able to run all my wires inside of here, and I've got enough of an umbilical that I don't have to worry about it, so everything will go in and should fit quite nicely. So that is a result, and that is ready to go, and this will be attached to the model with this clamp. And this will allow this to stay in place like this. And I'm going to be able to run my wires over the top of this through this arm here, which is, if I tip to camera, you'll see is hollow. You can see that. And then everything will go into the model. Now I do have, I've got a 1/2 inch here. And I've got to get quite a bit of wire that's got to go in there. I've got my phaser effect for my saucer, right, top and bottom, and that's got the 3-prong, the 3-line cable with the positive, negative, and addressable. I've got 2 of those. I've got my speaker cable that needs to go in here, and then everything else. So what I'm going to do is I am using well, let me show you what I'm using. I'll pull this down. Why I didn't have one ready to go, I don't know. But there you go. That's me. Okay, this is what I'm using. So this is the twisted black wire, and now there is an argument to be made that the wire over time could fail. But I don't think so. I don't think it's going to get bent that much. And I've twisted it quite a bit, and I don't get a lot of play out of it. So yes, I could see if you had some kind of an armature or something where it was required to flex, I get it. But there's not going to be any flex. And what I like about this wire is its rating. It's rated for 36 volts at 5 amps. I don't love the wire that came with the model. Here's a piece of that right here, and it came to us in a wrapped in a cable. It was called the 20 line wire, and they wanted us. Now you can see everyone's got these different color codings, and obviously so that you can write down and make sure you know what's positive and what's negative. It is very flexible, granted, and we've got enough length of it, but it is one side of it. This would be positive and negative, whereas this wire here, I'll show you one next to the other, and for me, I'm happy to know what's positive and what's negative. And this is just one of these is equivalent to 2 of these. So I'm going to be able to triple and double up, you know, my lines and get more space. And when I play with this, I'm not getting a lot of snapping. I'm not getting. I think that this is perfectly fine, and I just feel a lot safer with it. So that's the way I'm going. The one thing I have to be careful of, which is hilarious, which is my power cord, which I've connected now to this wire, it's reversed, right? So on this, your the positive side of this is black, and the negative side of this is red. Don't ask me why. It's European, that's where it came from, but this is going to work fine. What I do have to do is figure out how I'm going to find a little wire tidy, a little something really nice that I can put on this. It doesn't have to go that far. The umbilical cord, it's gonna hang below the steel plate. I'm gonna put some feet on the steel plate, and it will hang below those, but it'll be fine. And then this gets run up the post and into the box. Okay, so I have got a lot to think about here, because I'm at a point now where I am ready to actually start pulling some wires through my base, and getting some connectivity. I want to figure out how I'm going to do that, because there's an awful lot going on. But the nice thing is that because my saucer is going to be permanently attached to my frame, and it's on a sliding on a sliding coupling, I'm going to be able to just let it hang loosely, so that I can run all my wires and then lock it in and do the final attachment when I'm ready to do it. It's going to make my life a lot easier. But at first I am going to have to run all my wires through, I think, and make a connection somewhere. So I'm working on that. I probably will use some kind of plug and play. I don't know. I have permanently also installed my shuttle bay into the model, and my door, which will allow us to, here it is, which will allow me to close that up if I don't want to look at the shuttle bay. So I've found some very, very tiny magnets, and I'm going to put three, maybe four magnets here, and that will allow this to attach to the saucer, and so that'll take care of that. Okay, so I think that's an awful lot. I'm going to let this dry, and when it dries, I'm going to be able to bring it over to the bench, and we can look at this behemoth and some of the mechanics of how the base works, because I think that's important. And then I've also got to start attaching my lights for my star drive, and I'm going to attach those to the physical pole. That makes perfect sense. It's a square piece of steel, so I've got four sides to play with. That should go really well. So I've got to get that going, and I've also got to get light in the top of the neck of the star drive, and I will most likely probably just do cross lights. Light to illuminate one side will be on one side, and light to illuminate the other will be on the other. That's that sort of thing. So that's just some busy work that I'm going to be doing. So that should get me to a point where I can pick up the phone and drive Lou crazy for my my masks, because I'm chomping at the bit to start laying down some Aztecing. I'm actually chomping at the bit. Now that's going to take a few weeks. I also know that Keith over at Cosmic Scale Models has jumped in the fray, and he's going to help us too. And so he'll have some decals for us, but we'll probably pick those up at Telford so that he doesn't have to ship them. We'll just pick them up. And we can bring them back ourselves. Well, that's November 7th. We're now in September, so we've got probably 4 or 5 weeks to keep going on Aztecing and everything else. And if we take a break, I'm not sure. I'll try to get the stun gun from 99. I'll try to get that finished up. It's not a lot of work, but it's fiddly. But that might be a great intermission. I like intermissions. Okay, we plow on. Okay, quick pop in, because I'm working on lighting the star drive windows in the neck and in the lower half. So what I've got here is I've got my stand off of the base. This is the part that bolts to the stand. I'm going to show you that in just a minute, but I wanted to just talk about this quickly. What I've done is I've added my strip lighting to the bottom. That'll give me plenty of light for the bottom. This plate sits on top, and what I've done is I've hit the edges of this with some gray paint, because that's going to be exposed because it's part of the sensor array. And now what I have to do is I've got to get my windows on here. Now the nice thing about this metal stand is it's perfectly fine to be attaching this tape to the metal, perfectly fine. And I've got this wonderful opportunity here to to put tape here, on top here, and on the side. And then I'm going to put some here. Now I've made a mark as to how far I need to go. So I'm going to put here, here, and here. And that will give me plenty of light. I'll do all of it. And so that should illuminate this neck quite nicely. And I've got plenty of tape left. Here's all the tape that I was given. So I've got plenty. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to chop this up, and I'm going to attach it all, loop it all together, and then we'll take a look at that, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. And then after we've done that, I'll bring the base over, and we'll take a look at the base and how that's constructed, because it's very nifty. I'm really happy with it. Okay. So I've put enough strip lighting, and I have not added anything that wasn't given to me. So all of this strip did come with the kit. So one would assume that I've got more than enough juice running through my board, which is obviously, it's stepped, right? So I've got 5 volts and 12 volts. And I put in enough light here that the neck and of the star drive and the sort of the rear of this and underneath can all be lit, and then I can just pick and choose what windows I'd like to black out. But I think you can see here that this is really, it's got plenty of punch, and I even put a strip underneath too, so I've got plenty of light. So I'm very happy with that. That's going to work out really well. And that, if you can believe it, is all the lighting that's left. I'm done. I have nothing else to light. All the lighting is complete on this kit, and that's a good thing. I'm going to go around now with my cool shot and just make sure that I put a little dab of cool shot on here, get these wires out of the way, make them all tidy, and make sure nothing can short, and I will be good to go. And I do like the fact that they are hugging the post, which means that I shouldn't have any issues with them. So I'm going to leave this on for a little bit, let it burn in, and then we'll be good to go. That is a result. Okay. So you're looking at the base, and it has several components, and it is not sitting level for a bunch of reasons. It's not bolted down properly, and I've got some clamps holding it on. But the point is, I wanted to show you how my saucer is connected to the main armature that goes down through the neck and down into the base. It's quite clean and it's quite stunning. So from a sort of mechanical perspective, I was obviously very concerned about the weight of this thing, and I assure you, there's a lot of weight here. And you know, I haven't got my set screw sitting nicely yet, but the point is you can really appreciate the size of this. And if I was to grab the pylons quickly and get these on here, for the first time you're actually going to see this thing. I mean, the pylons are going to go sort of like that. Now all of a sudden you can see the D. This is a huge momentous day for me here, because I really feel like I've come a long way, and this model has come a long way. You know, it's somebody made a comment on the last on my last report, and it was curiously, it was a very, very fair comment. You know, it's like for 10 or 12 pieces, it's an awful lot to deal with, and the answer is it is. But for the amount of money that we had to pay for this kit, I really feel like the base should have been designed. Now, you know, look, could you argue, hey, it's an option. Do you want us to make the base for you? We'll make a base for you. But I had to go to a lot of trouble to get this sourced and designed for me. And Taylor over at Avalon Metal Works has done an extraordinary job. Him and his father have a great business over there. And they took time out of their very busy schedule to work with me on this, and I really appreciate it. And Taylor is also responsible for this control panel right here. So this control panel, which is going to sit here, is going to look absolutely stunning. So it's all coming together, and it all starts to feel like the D. Now I've got some things I have to work out here. I've got some puttying and some other issues that I'm going to have to deal with, but I wanted you to see this in all of its glory, and I feel like I've got enough light now in the star drive to get all of my windows. There's going to be plenty of windows lit here. The decision on which ones to black out is going to be interesting. Now, it may also be that it does it itself, which is why I wanted to keep the inside black. I did not want there to be a whole bunch of bursted light going everywhere, when if you look at the model, a huge majority of the windows are not lit. And this allows us to limit the light to certain parts of the ship. And I think that's going to be very, very effective on this ship. Very effective. So we'll see. We'll see how we do. But I think this is a really nice place to end this update, and to really sort of boldly go into part 8, knowing that there's an awful lot going on. Now, obviously, I'm waiting on my Aztecing masks, and I've got a lot to do here, and the components can't go together until I've painted and Azteced everything. It would just be too much. But the next thing that's up for me is to get all the wiring into the nacelles, and I think that we will probably do that in the next update. We'll put the nacelles together, but everything is complete in terms of the lighting. Couldn't be happier. Okay, so there it is. My part 7 update of the 1650 Helios Enterprise D, and just want to close with a big shout out to my friend Lou Del Meso over at Aztec Dummy for all of his kind support and his generous time and his guidance. Without him, this would be a much lonelier build. So yeah, hey, until we meet again on the next update, please, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm sprueVerse@gmail.com. I post most days on Instagram. I'm at sprueVerse. Occasionally I'm on TikTok. Hey, and you can also buy me a cup of coffee if you want. The link to that is on my channel page. It goes to a good cause, and it would also be appreciated too to know that the content is worth your time. As always, I wish all of you, please be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.